Safety first. The most important thing to remember during a barge survey is safety. The conditions in which we work these barges are the greatest danger that we as surveyors will face. Always remain aware of your surroundings during the time of surveys. Dangers can come in many different forms. From the time we climb on the barge from a dock or a boat, dangers exist in every form or fashion. The decks of the barges on which we walk are very small and narrow, as well as cluttered. There are kevels, cables, loose debris, wing tank covers, water, and at times slippery product. When walking on these surfaces, a surveyor should always watch his step to ensure that everyone is placed in the right spot to maintain their balance. Balance and sure-footedness is always the goal, due to the fact that one wrong step could possibly leave you with your feet and legs in between barges. A dry barge has two different structure options. One, a rake. On the bow end of these barges, there is a slanting front, as you see here. Second one is a box. The entire barge is in the shape of a large rectangle. On every barge, rake, or box, you'll have the option of having certain cover types: fiberglass lift, iron lift top, roll top, or open hopper barge. For every barge we have to survey, we are to have 6 point reference freeboards. There will be 3 freeboards taken on each side, port and starboard. One at bow, port and starboard, one at mid, port and starboard, and one at aft, port and starboard. To gather a freeboard, a surveyor must find the draft marks welded on the side of a barge. These marks are on the bow and stern, port and starboard, and count down by feet, the height of the barge.
A bow and a stern. The bow is like the forward of the barge. The stern is the back or the aft of the barge. Now in this case, stern is cleanly printed, so we know we're starting at the stern or the aft of a barge. Also, on the river, when it comes to conveyances that float, we do not use left and right. We use port and starboard. The way to determine port and starboard is you stand the way that the conveyance is facing. In this case, this is a barge. We know that's the bow because we're on the stern, so it's facing this direction. So this is our port and this is our starboard. If the barge were facing the other direction, it would be just opposite. That would be the port, this would be the starboard. So we're going to always start at a good starting location on a barge, which is always going to be the bow or the stern. We're on the stern. First thing we're going to do is we're going to check our stern flotation tank. Flip the top open. First thing I see, it does have water, enough water we're going to have to measure. So I see that my T-bar went completely in the water. So what I'm going to do is pull my T-bar up till I clear the water, then ease back down till I touch the water. Then I'm going to look at where I'm at, and I simply start counting. There's 1, 2. So this tank has 2 inches of water. I'm going to go ahead and put a 2 right in the stern tank. Since we're on the stern, we're going to go to the starboard side of the barge. We're going to go from aft to forward on the starboard side of the barge first. So I make the corner. First thing we're going to do is we're going to look down the side of the barge and look for the numbers on the barge. Look for the draft marks. Now, MTS standard. We always go to the bottom of the second number, and it's right there, and we come 2 feet up from the bottom of the second number. There it is. And we put a nice straight bold line, make it into a T, the MTS, and then we simply draft the barge, just like we did on the loads. Put our T-bar into the water. And right now, I don't even need to see this tape. I'm not even looking at it. The only thing I'm looking at this point is my T-bar in the water. I'm waiting to get that level spot,
And I just saw it. It's right there. It's right there. And I look, and this is 12 6 3/4. So that's what will go in our book. I know I'm on the starboard side. I'm on the aft draft. 12 6 3/4.
There are several different ways to determine the middle of a barge. As you know, we have 6 draft points, 3 on each side. The aft, the forward, and then the middle. There are several ways to determine the middle. You can count the sausage lamps. You can count the covers, try to come in the middle of the middle cover. Or the easiest way, this being a box barge, this cable is always pretty much in the middle of the barge. Now, you don't want to go right on the cable. You want to go either a little forward of the cable or a little after the cable. Now, in this case, I'm going to simply look. I see 3 tanks that way, 2 tanks that way. So I'm going to go where I got 3 tanks, and I'm going to put me a V right up here on the wall. The point of this V should point to our draft mark. The purpose of that V, if this mark gets rubbed off or it's gone, when they come back and survey the load, they can put their right under the point of that V, measure 3 feet, 2 inches across, make a tick mark, and they know that's where the draft is. Then make your line. Your line should be about a foot or so. Sometimes you go back and forth, it helps it stay on. And again, make it to the T, M, T, S. And then we will simply draft it. Forward draft point. I'll come down from the bottom of the second number. Now see I mean 2 feet up from the bottom of the second number. Now make me a nice, bold, straight line. Make it into the M, T, S. Then we draft it. And that's going to come out to a 12 6. I'm just catching my tanks up. We had a 1 inch right there, a 0. We've got a 12 6, the forward draft mark. Oh, look, this is a 14 foot. It's a box barge, has a fiberglass lift cover. Now remember, we're at the bow, so we just finished the starboard side. We're about to go down the port side. But we'll be starting with the forward, then the mid, then the aft, as opposed to aft, forward, mid, because we'll be from the front or the forward of the barge. All right, now that we've got all 6 drafts, our 6-point drafts, and our wing tanks, our flotation tanks measured, we're going to get up and check these covers.
Always making sure to have 3 points of contact.
At least 3 points, yeah. And as you see, once you get this high, there's handholds to grab onto. So it's a pretty safe operation. It's on the top of on and off for previous cargo, standing water, any kind of contamination that could contaminate the customer's cargo. And as we're right here, we're also checking the latch and the keeper. Make sure that this latch does in fact engage the keeper. Down one side and back up the other side. We're gonna go our starboard side first. That's the way we drafted the barge. And the first thing we're looking for is the hinges. Make sure all hinges are in place and the covers are properly attached to the hinges. And then we step around and check covers, or check the hopper itself.
Inspecting, make sure everything looks good. No cracks in the covers, no holes in the barge. All the doors are in good condition. Generally speaking, looks like this one's pretty good.
As I'm walking the barge, I'm checking all hinges on one side, as I'm checking latches and keepers on the other side. And then when we get to the end, or we get to the forward of this barge, we turn around and go back, we'll be checking latches and keepers. Then that one on the port side, checking hinges on the starboard side. It's been fully checked. It's been all 6 draft points drafted. All the wing tanks or the flotation tanks have been checked. The hopper is found to be clean and dried, no contamination, no previous cargo. All the covers are in good condition. All the latches, keepers, and hinges on the grain doors are in good condition. This barge is determined to be load ready. And we'll just put a little load ready in our book.
And that completes it. Now that we've gathered all of our barge draft survey information, we're going to pull up our ACE system, and we're going to go into our new core barges for April. We're going to find the corresponding barge on the barge list, and we're going to go into it. We're going to open it up, and this is going to be a loaded survey. And basically the system is going to populate the same exact thing that we have on our barge draft book, and we're going to start entering in all of the information, all of our draft numbers, port and starboard side. It's set up the same way as the book is, so it's very easy for our surveyors to follow, and makes it sort of foolproof. So as you see here, Mike is going down the sides of his barges, entering in all of his numbers, making sure everything is correct. As you can see, everything adds up. Now we're going to start with our water and our wing tanks. He's going to start from the bow, and he's going to go down the port side, entering in all the right information, making sure everything is correct. Pretty easy process for the guys out in the field. All right. Everything corresponds. Select our density, water conditions, manhole covers were in good condition. Launch services, we use turn. Select our date and our time that we did our survey. He's going to select the pass option because everything on the barge was in good condition. Select our location where we completed the survey at. His name populates. And he's going to go ahead and take a picture of his barge book so that when the girls in the office can go back, they can make sure everything corresponds. Checks and balances system. Once the picture is loaded up, Mike's going to mark his barge complete, and the survey is complete. Now the girls in the office can review everything, and the calculation process can begin. Now that the barge has been entered in by the surveyor in the field, office workers now have the option to see that the barge has been completed and it is ready for review. So we'll go into our April new core barges. We'll pull up our load plan. Find the corresponding barges that have the R next to them, which means they're ready for review, that they've been surveyed and they've been marked complete. Office worker will then open up the corresponding barge. It will populate all of our draft numbers here that the guys entered in the field, and we can view the image that they took with their iPad for a checks and balances system. Office worker will then check each draft to make sure it's correct and to ensure its accuracy. Then check their waters, make sure everything looks good there. and that the barge is indeed considered load ready and it is passed. Once all information is reviewed and inputs are accurate, office workers can then mark the barge for final review, and the barge certificate can be generated with tonnages and sent to our customer. And that is our process of barge surveys from field to office.